One of my most notable mistakes, I think, was I didn't really know what South Park was. I thought and it was an animated feature. So I screened that at 12 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon as a kids session. At half-time, I had to make all the kids swear that they wouldn't tell their parents it was me that screened on South Park, and pulled the rating after that. 25 years ago, we're sitting around in a room. There was 3 people, Andrea, Brian, and myself. In fact, we'd just come back from Queenstown watching a movie. We'd spent the fuel there, fuel back, time, beers, dinner, going, it's got to be a cheaper way, surely to goodness, because we all had a love of film. We came across a screen in Dunedin, went to Dunedin, spoke to a guy called Charlie Gilligan, and he gave us a screen and said, oh, there's some projectors for sale in Auckland from the St. James. We went up there, the guy had retired from the St. James, and they said to him, well, you can take your kit with you, and they upgraded the projectors. He had them set up in his garage, and he was getting rid of them so he could invest more money in his collection of English motorcycles. And so we loaded them at the back of an HQ Holden, a great road trip, drove back down, put them together. Charlie came up from Dunedin, who'd done a 5-year apprenticeship to be a projectionist. His apprenticeship in 5 years was transferred to 2 of us in about 5 days, and we started screening movies and learnt along the way. So we started off in the town hall, obviously, and that was sensational. It was a lovely old building, but it was freezing cold in the winter and stinking hot in the summer, and people would turn up with dogs and their own couches, and we said, oh, look, better. It was all hard seats, so how do we make it a bit better? So we started bought couches, a whole pile of couches, started filling them in. Ended up with about 60 couches that used to get loaded off the stage of the town hall onto the flat floor area. Screen that was lowered down, set up every weekend. It was my Jane Fonda workout. So a guy used to come in the summer a lot from one of the stations, and he'd turn up with half a dozen people on the back of a flat deck with a couch on it, reverse the flat deck up to the back door of the town hall, and everyone would sit on the couch on the flat deck, and they'd paid, like, I think it was $8, I think it was to watch a movie at the time, $8 to sit on this couch at the back door and watch a movie. And when you were screening a movie, getting people back in at half time was like, come on, you know, it's like, because it was that social aspect. And you have to remember as well, the community at that time was about 2,000 people. There was a booth on the side of the hall, and it was of the era when they built a projection booth, lined it with tin, so that if the projection booth caught fire, then the poor old projectionist got cooked, but it saved the rest of the building. So, and the projection booth had a crack in it on the wall that you could get a finger in. We had a couple of big earthquakes, had a factor 8, and after that earthquake, you can get your whole hand into it. It was such a beautiful place to set the whole thing up, but of course they knocked it down. So we're on the move. Where do we go to from the town hall? And that was ended up with the old Central Electric building, which I remember when we first moved into it, I was told that it was too far from the centre of town, and what were we thinking, and started doing, I think it was 3 days a week, 4 days a week initially, and ended up pretty quickly doing 7 days a week because the demand was there. And then, of course, the lease ran out, and they were keen to change, and we were looking for a new home again. This came up, and it was a great space, really good feel. It was at the time was the Catholic Church of Our Lady of Fatima, which had been, they were building a new one. This was deconsecrated, and we moved in, started to kit it out, and we've been here for 7 years, I think. Literally, we held on to the 35mm for as long as we could. We were the last carbon arc projectors in the Southern Hemisphere. I had a love affair with those projectors, still do. Every now and again, the rod would burn wrong, or it would explode, or you wouldn't turn it off, or it'd break down. And One of the classics, you know, the bottom reel falls off, dong, 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 and falls down the stairs. But it just added to the experience. None of the mess ups we did were ever a negative for people who were in the cinema at the time. It was always considered to just be this, the place would howl you down and people whistling and you'd lean up, get abused and get back into it. And those evenings, those little mistakes were so much more memorable than just a standard night, you might say. There was a woman that used to come in a lot, and she had her seat, and she'd stand, if somebody was in her seat, she'd stand next to it and look at them like they were some sort of weirdo, you know. And most people at that point would go, okay, fair enough, I'm going, and give her the seat. But every now and again, somebody would hold their ground, you know, and I'd have to give them a cookie or something, or bags of popcorn so she could have her seat. The cookies are an essential part of the Paradiso, for me anyway, because I'm a fat bastard. And they're an essential part of the Paradiso experience. And they are the same size, and irrespective of what people tell you, there's the same amount of chocolate buttons in as we started with. So, has there been a time that I've questioned what I'm doing? Oh, probably annually. I mean, when we started off, it was we wanted to raise some funds to go to the Sundance Film Festival. That was it, you know. 25 years later, you just wouldn't imagine you were still doing it. Probably about every 4 or 5 years, somebody tells you that something's going to kill you. You know, Netflix is going to kill you, DVDs, online, you know, whatever it is, gaming, you know, it's all going to, but here we still are. I've never considered it work. It's always been a pleasure to operate. The Paradiso is kind of a nice wee slice that's quite quirky and uniquely Wānaka, you know. It's like sitting in a car, watching a movie, you know, it's like, and just love film as a medium for telling a story, you know. Having people coming back who, you know, who were kids when they first turned up here, who are now adults with their kids, and that whole experience, that's really cool. There's always doubt, and if anyone tells you they don't doubt what they're doing, they're a barefaced liar. At some point you do, you know, you wake up at 2 in the morning and you go, but concentrate on the good stuff and she'll be right.